And tonight, let's talk about getting around here in the Philippines. Right now, I am in an Uber, which may not be foreign to a lot of you, especially if you're in the States. However, there's also an option here called Grab. Very similar concepts. However, there is no Lyft currently here in the Philippines. So if you're coming for a visit, make sure to grab either the Grab app or Uber. Depending on when and where you use it, prices are going to vary a lot. So make sure you have both apps. And if you're looking to travel on a budget, you always check both. There are a lot of really cool ways to travel here in the Philippines. So, for instance, there's one called Angkas, which allows you to ride on the back of someone else's motorcycle. Very similar to Grab or Uber, but on the back of someone else's motorcycle. It's an interesting concept. If you don't mind taking a motorcycle ride with somebody else, it's at least a thing that you should experience once. It's also worth noting that it's often much faster to take Angkas because motorcycles don't really play by the same rules as cars on the roads here in the Philippines. For people traveling here to the Philippines, you may see something that looks a little bit odd or off. There are things called jeepneys. The story behind jeepneys is really interesting, and maybe I'll do a video entirely on that. But the short version is that old decommissioned Jeeps were sort of left here and then refabricated after the fact using local sourced parts to create a mode of transportation for the masses. Riding in a jeepney is something that every tourist or every person coming to stay for any period of time here in the Philippines should experience at least once. Normally they cost about 8.5 peso per stop, and exactly how long between stops kind of changes between the routes. Riding on a jeepney is one of those things where I would say you definitely need some Filipino survival phrases in order to pull off. Two things you want to make sure that you have in your arsenal are, one, bayad po, which means payment, and then the second one is para, which means stop. Another thing that I've seen in videos all throughout Southeast Asia are tricycles. These are often motorbikes with a sidecar. And it's one of those things that if you don't do while you're here in the Philippines or in a country that has these as a mode of transport, you're probably gonna regret it. It may not be the smoothest ride, but it's so cool and worth you checking out. Also, if you're a big guy like me, be prepared to be the only one who can sit in the sidecar. It's not uncommon to see people riding in a tricycle between 3 and 4 passengers plus the driver. Tricycles, much like jeepneys, you'll find that the decorations on them very much speak to the personality of the driver. So keep your eye out because you'll see some really cool stuff. It's also important to know that tricycle as a mode of transport is usually a local thing and you're not gonna see them on the highway. Taxis are also a thing here in the Philippines. However, it is sometimes hard to find one in the time and place you need them. So a lot of times that's why apps such as Grab or Uber take things to the next level and allow you to get a car when and where you need it. Remember, if you happen to flag down a cab, it is common for them to ask for an extra 50 or 100 peso because of traffic. Traffic is one of those things here in the Philippines you spend a lot of time dealing with. But I would say keep an eye or an ear out for what the traffic really is, because if you're a foreigner here in the Philippines, sometimes taxi drivers will just ask for that as a way to get you to say yes, because they know that they can get it out of you. So be careful. When it comes to taxis here in the Philippines, one thing you may want to take into consideration is the fact that some of them have really, really good suspension. Some of them don't. So keep that in mind if you plan on reading while you're in the back of a cab. There may be a time where you need to close the book so that you don't get motion sickness. So now let's talk about trains. In the Manila area, there are two main trains. There's the MRT and the LRT. I wish that this was something that I could say that you had to check out as a tourist, but if you've been on one rail system, you've pretty much been on the rest, at least from my perspective. If you think I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section down below, and also tell us why we should check it out. Oh, so now we get to talk about buses. There are a lot of different kinds of buses, but speaking from my perspective, we're going to be talking about long-haul buses. So I've been on maybe 3 buses while I've been here in the Philippines, and one of them was sort of an overnighty type thing where I showed up at like midnight, 1 a.m., and we got to our destination somewhere, I forget what it was. It was like 9 a.m. And it was great. I got to sleep. The air conditioning was nice. So I don't know if this is representative of the whole or just my experience, but the bus was well taken care of. It was very nice. In fact, they also had TV screens in the back of the headrests, and I don't know. I spent most of the time sleeping, but even if I hadn't, there was definitely stuff to do, and there was a bathroom on board. It was really nice. Sometimes you'll notice that they provide Wi-Fi on buses for the people who are passengers. This is usually because they have like a portable Wi-Fi device, and then they just give the password out to the people who pay like 50 or 100 peso or whatever the fee is, and you're able to access the internet, which is also really nice. The first time I went to a bus stop here in the Philippines, I'll be honest, with the number of people there and the fact that it was dark and I was way out of my element, I was a little bit scared. But I do have to say, if you're not scared of street food, usually around bus stops, there's some really good food. So check that out. Shuttles are also a thing here in the Philippines. And when I say shuttle, usually I would probably describe it, if I didn't know better, as a minivan. Usually they're white and they say like UV Express on the back. They have routes and you'll usually find them in metro areas such as like Makati or Manila or, areas like that. I've never personally ridden in one, and I feel like anything I say would just kind of be regurgitating information I've heard elsewhere. So we're going to skip over that, other than to say that they're a thing and they may suit your needs. Last but not least, let's talk about pedicabs. Pedicabs are very similar to tricycles that we discussed earlier, except rather than a motorbike, it's just a bicycle powering this. With me being a big guy, these are something I've avoided because I would kind of feel guilty because I'm a lot of weight to carry. This is something that I would say that if you find yourself in an area that has them, definitely check out. These are owned and operated normally by individuals. It's not a company or corporate thing, so it helps the local economy, and it's also like a really cool touristy thing to do. So check it out. It's also important to notice that these are usually in touristy areas, places by the beach, etc. Not something that you're gonna find normally in the metro areas. I hope that this video has been helpful for you. If it has, let us know in the comment section down below. And also, let us know if you have any other modes of transport that I should have mentioned in this video, but maybe forgot. Let us know in the comment section down below, and I may plan a follow-up video if there's enough. Till next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all those things that make me love my job. Also, be awesome to yourself and amazing to each other. Bye! Thank you so much for joining me on today's story on my cuento. Be sure to check out one or more of the things on screen now that'll lead you to even more stuff, because it's awesome. Alright, next vlog.